Welcome to the Wednesday Yachting Luncheon, live from the virtual grill room of the St. Francis Yacht Club. We're all chuckling when I say live from the virtual grill room because we know that we don't get to greet each other in the beautiful, warm, hospitable grill room at the St. Francis Yacht Club until the COVID-19 pandemic is over. But in the meantime, we're going to continue interviewing people and receiving presentations from speakers from all over the world. Our speaker today was born and raised in Marion, Massachusetts, and grew up around boats. Small whalers, his folks own a powerboat that they keep in the Marion Harbor. If you've been to Marion, Massachusetts, and many of us have, it's a very, very beautiful New England harbor. And on the shores of it, and always present, is the beautiful Tabor Academy. Today's WYL is dedicated to the memory of Jamie Scow, an exemplary Tabor alumni who died of cancer in 2014, but not before creating the Send It Foundation, a nonprofit organization creating outdoor adventures for cancer fighters. Jamie's thoughtful presence is daily missed by his family and all who knew this gentle giant. Our guest speaker today picked up a camera when he was 4 or 5 and became fascinated with his mom's camcorder. He, all the time as a townie, was in the shadow of Tabor Academy, and his family was rightfully proud when he was admitted and went through this great and beautiful campus. If you haven't been to Marion and you haven't been to Tabor, you've got to make a visit there. When you want to show your kids a cool high school, it's definitely a very cool school to go to. So our speaker graduated from Tabor, and when he was 19 and 20, he made the movie that you're going to see today, Celestial, and he's now a senior at UC Berkeley, and we're proud to be able to show his video on the Wednesday Yachting Luncheon, and thereafter to ask questions of the young filmmaker. This is his 3rd film, so please welcome Jack Gordon to the Wednesday Yachting Luncheon. Jack, we're very happy to have you as our guest speaker today, live from your residence in Berkeley, California. So welcome, Jack, to the Wednesday Yachting Luncheon.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be part of this, and I'm excited to show you my film, Celestial.
Let's get that topsail off. Come on now, get it up. She needs help, help her out. Let's get it up. That's well in the jib. Close haul, close haul. Close haul! Close haul! Bang! Good night, Marion. Some more. Let's go. Up, hands to me! Hands to me! They didn't make the mark. Keep going, guys. Nice job, guys. Trim in. Trim in. We need speed. Heat. Ha! Heat. Ha! Heat. Ha! Heat. Ha! Heat. Nice job, guys. Walk it up. You didn't make the mark. Oh, man. Woo!
This is the 22nd running of the Marion Bermuda Race. This is the first time that Tabor Boy has ever done the Marion Bermuda Race, although she's been to Bermuda countless times. The fall before the race, Tabor Boy actually was invited to the Royal Hamilton Amateur Dinghy Club in Bermuda to formally accept a challenge by Spirit of Bermuda for the race. Bermuda Race is the only ocean race that has a celestial class in it. It's the only one. Being in the celestial navigation class, we are not making any use of GPS on this trip.
Time was 15.
It's entirely by celestial navigation, as in the old days. And for that reason, we have any information available by GPS blocked off or turned off. There are 3 principal navigators on this trip, and they are the seniors who just graduated. That includes Chip Conard, who's the XO, class of 2019, and also his 2 senior officers, Connor Cook, class of 19, and Sophia Vakatinsky, class of 19. Overall on board, we have 11 navigating by celestial and practicing their skills, and this includes alumni back to the class in 1990. All have been in Tabor's Celestial Navigation course, and all I had the privilege of having in my class. Celestial Navigation at Tabor is a full-year course, which it really needs to be. It's a major. And the purpose of that is for the students to actually understand what they're doing, rather than just memorizing procedure and looking up numbers in tables. No matter how well you know celestial navigation theory and procedure, it's not until you pick up a sextant that you actually learn the technique, where the pitfalls are, where the errors come in, and how to bring it all together.
So what we have here is the marine sextant. It's a precision instrument used to measure the altitude of celestial bodies. And what that means is, what the altitude means, is the angular measurement between the horizon and the celestial body. In this case, during the day, we only have the sun to work with. Sometimes you can get the moon during the day. And at twilight, when you can see both stars and the horizon, you can use stars and take the altitude of them as well. Once you have the altitude, what you have to do is go into a series of books published. We have the Nautical Almanac, the HO 229, HO 249. These are all filled with data that is updated, usually annually. Data on the location of stars, both in their position over the Earth, as well as their position in the sky. And using that information and through a series of calculations, you can find your position with what's called a line of position, an LOP. So you get a line of where you could possibly be in the near area. So preferably, you get multiple lines of position, and wherever they cross, that's called a fix. That's where you are, and that's that. That's as accurate as it gets with celestial navigation, is a proper celestial fix.
Sophia, we should start getting ready to take some sights soon here.
I know, that's why.
Center relief.
Center relieving?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's go. I'm gonna go get a section out and start setting it.
Okay. Me. make sure you don't take mine. I'll show you which one. Okay. So we're steering about 170, 175. You want to try to head up pretty much as much as you can until you start luffing, and you want to keep the speed as much as possible. Right now, I've gone a couple headers, so I've been able to keep like 175. But yep, ready?
Yeah.
Get some sights.
Already got you.
Nice.
Go for 3.
About 0.2 off.
0.2 off.
It might not be great because
Wait, can someone mark for me?
super low.
Yeah, I can mark for you.
Okay. Put that on.
I'm ready when you are, so just say mark.
Mark.
What you got, Connor?
Alright, I got 8. Or I guess 20. 18:49 seconds.
Sophia, what's your HS?
I got 15.
Yep.
What is this? 40.
46 point.
Did you
Point
take a
two.
double check shot? HS 1546.2.
Yep.
Bingo.
Lower limb.
Lower limb.
Okay, and then Jupiter.
That was the moon.
Lower limb. Alright. Sophia, you good penis now?
I go to the front.
Mark.
HS.
Yeah. So 57.0.
Sweet.
So why don't you get me a mark in a second here?
Yep, I got you.
You got it.
When you are. Okay, ready? Yep.
Yep.
Mark. Alright, I have 8:22.
16.
Alright. We're good. We got like 3 or 4 different sites on the moon.
Yeah, we got
both
2
lower
lower
and
and
upper
2
limb.
upper.
Well, Jupiter and the moon are too much.
And then
Yeah.
we're waiting for
We're waiting for the
Vega
stars.
and then Spica and
Pollock.
All right. Why don't you get Blair's?
All right.
Blair's?
Yep.
Where's it going?
Which
Where's
one's
the north?
Cap?
Okay.
No, we're
Sit. Connor, set your sextant to our DR latitude.
Yeah, live.
Face north.
that's
Sit.
30.
Yeah. Tell you what, man, this is fun. This is fun. This is a good time.
What are we doing right here?
So right now we are waiting for Polaris to pop up about yonder, and then we're gonna use the sextant and get our altitude on it and our height, and use that to get a fix. Yeah. So right now we're just waiting, enjoying the sunset.
Jack, you and Connor are doing some reductions tonight?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and Sophia and I can run them on our watch in the morning.
Yeah, we're gonna run until we have a good working fix.
Okay, great.
And then we'll probably have to get back to watch once we're sure of our fix.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do the fix on Detroit.
All right, I'll let you guys do that.
The first night that we got a spot-on fix was our second night. Yep. I remember being huddled around the table in the deck house with Cap and Jack Kirk, and Jack Kirk drawing the line, and then drawing another line, going, all right, they meet right there. Let's see where this third one goes. And it went right through the middle, and Cap just goes, wow. In class, we hadn't been able to really get that one point. This was, you are here. and that was absolutely incredible. What I learned is actually of use right now. It worked, and we're going there, and we're gonna get there because we know where we are. We can do this.
All right. Okay. So it took a little while, but we got this evening's fix worked out. It's a good cross. We transferred it to the big plotting sheet here. So this is evening fix for 2024, which is 8:24 p.m. on June 16th. This is the run line to Bermuda from basically Buzzards Bay. And we are now sailing almost in the same direction, right towards Bermuda. So it's a distance to go we have to figure out yet, but we look to be in good shape right now.
I'm thinking we're gonna get there Tuesday evening, if not Wednesday morning.
So that is elapsed time, right? From starting line to finish line. Just, you know. Okay, so here's our ratings here. So this is a handicap rating, 0.844, but with Celestial adjusted to 0.819, okay? So take that, what is it, 108?
Yep.
Times 0.819. Okay, what is it?
88.45.
Okay.
So then divide that by 24.
So, yeah, so, no. So subtract that from 108. Well, 88. No, I see, okay.
Let's do 108 times the thing, right?
No, well, yeah.
Yeah, so we get
That's
88.45.
So that would be corrected time.
Yep.
And what that saves us in hours is 108 minus
So
88.
20 hours.
Okay, yeah.
Seriously?
Almost a day.
Yeah. So that's pretty sweet. As Greg was saying, as fast as Spirit of Bermuda is, he doubts she's almost a day ahead of us. So, not that it matters because she didn't start it. But it'd be fun to beat her anyhow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have fun with David Goodwin if that's the case. He's beaten by a bunch of high school kids.
Beaten by some high schoolers.
Yes. So we shall see.
We shall see.
What are you able to hold?
All right, now we're going 155.
You did have her up to 170, right?
I had her up to 185 a few times.
Oh, great.
I'm gonna see if I can bring her up any.
165, 170 is good numbers.
Yeah, baby.
I felt most confident in doing the navigation on our last morning twilight.
Can someone mark?
Yeah, we'll get ready for you here.
Let me know when.
It was the last proper fix that we were gonna have, where we knew exactly where we were before we saw Bermuda. I'd spent the 12 to 4 watch preparing for morning twilight and writing down which stars we were gonna use, where they were gonna be approximately in the sky. And Sophia came on deck for her watch, and we had Jason Bland, XO of 1990, on deck with us as well, and Cap was out helping out in Leland, and we were just grabbing sites left and right. We took probably 15 or 16 sites during the span of twilight, so 20 minutes or so. And we'd grab the 3 or 4 stars we thought would be good. We grabbed Venus, and then as the horizon got better, we did it again. We got more sites. We went into the deck house and had this think tank type operation. It was just 4 or 5 of us all huddled around the table, working through the sites. Everybody just grabbed a star, worked right through them, and plotted 6 of them. And we had a 4 line of position cross. And it was like a well-oiled machine. We really had it down to an art. We really knew what we were doing. And it was just awesome to see how well we were able to do it by the end.
So we just got this 0440 celestial fix with about 5 different sites that lined up pretty well. We are 50 miles from Kitchen Shoal Light. These are all markers that warn us of the reefs off of Bermuda, which can be deadly. And then another 5 miles to St. David's, where we finish. So it should be hopefully the next 12 hours or so.
My favorite moment was actually seeing Bermuda. We had Connor climb a loft when we thought we might be close enough that he could see it. He was looking out for Gibbs Hill Lighthouse, St. David's Light on the horizon.
Land ho!
And when he shouted land ho out on deck, there was just a big cheer. Everybody was so excited. But what it really meant was we'd gotten there. We'd gotten to the right place, and we'd done great time getting there. And we, as the navigators, had done it. There was no checking the GPS. It was entirely done off of our plotting sheets and the sites that we took and the sites we worked out and put on the chart. So that was incredibly gratifying to actually see that it had worked.
You scared now?
It's one thing to take Cap's class. It's an incredible class. It's incredibly fascinating. But to see it work, 650 miles from Marion all the way to Bermuda, to see it work was incredible, really exciting.
So here comes there's the Mills buoy right there.
Cap, remind me.
The other one's right in line with it.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, there we go.
All right.
A little bit
I'm
to
thinking
the
we
left.
got to head up, yeah. Hang on. All right, Kelly, I'm going to relieve you, if you don't mind.
207.
Thank you. All right, now,
Heading up, sir.
just a little.
Hold. Hold, stop. Step out. Hold. Hold. $13.43.20. Tabor Boy finishes Marion Bermuda Race.
Okay, write that down.
13:43:20. Good job, guys.
Well done.
Marion Bermuda finish line. This is the Tabor Boy acknowledging
that we've crossed the line.
Okay, this is the finish line. Thank you for your transmission. Would you please switch over to channel 27 and contact Bermuda Maritime Operations, and then return to 72 for the next hour. I want to welcome you to Bermuda, and thanks for participating in this race.
Thank you very much, race committee. We had a great time. Switching 27. Good job. What's up, Cap? That's great. That was awesome. Good job. Hold on, Greg. Really good. Yeah. Oh, great job. Thanks, darling. That was awesome.
Great job.
Congratulations.
Leland. Good stuff.
Yeah. Here.
This is awesome.
Jack Kirk.
Love it. Jack, great job. Oh my God. Great job, Sophia. Oh. You're gonna crush my microphone.
Is that a microphone?
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh my God.
Sophia, somebody's looking for you.
I'll take all these I can get. I'll use it.
Oh, yeah. It's gonna hurt them more than us.
So gang, I just think this is a good time to really be proud of your vessel. She did. Okay, we did our best, but she came through for us. 100-year-old workboat. Not bad. Was it under 100 hours?
Good girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, admire the plane going overhead too.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Everybody wave.
So we just passed the finish line a little while ago, and celebrated a little bit. Congratulated each other on a great sail, great race. Struck all the sails, and now we're just getting everything ready for pulling into dock at Hamilton so that we can look very presentable while we brag to Spirit of Bermuda about our win.
Spirit of Bermuda finished elapsed time 3 days, 21 hours, and 30 minutes. Okay. Tabor Boy elapsed time 4 days, 1 hour, 10 minutes. Difference between those two times, 3 hours and 40 minutes. They were 3 hours and 40 minutes faster than us, sooner than us. Uncorrected.
Uncorrected. What's this?
Guys, we wrecked. Celestial navigation was the only way to get around on oceans till fairly recently. The advent of electronic navigation, specifically GPS. But the value in celestial navigation comes down to really self-reliance. It's not being dependent on electronics and external sources. You're really out on the ocean on your own and able to find your position and to get to where you're going, again, all on your own. So that's a very special quality and very special ability. It's an experience I wanted these students to have. And beyond that, the study of celestial navigation, especially to the extent we do it, gives students a much better understanding of the relationships between the Earth and the Sun and the Moon and the other celestial bodies. It's kind of surprising how little so many people know about that.
Wonderful. Jack, what a very cool video for him. Cool movie. So this is your third movie?
It is, yep.
And so what was the shooting ratio? How much film did you shoot versus to get to the 28 minutes of finished film?
I don't know the exact numbers, but it was a lot. You know, like with almost any movie you make, there's a lot more that you film than can be in the movie. And that was definitely the case here. You've got 5 days worth of footage really, and trying to boil that down into 28 minutes is a real challenge. So you only see a really small amount of what's actually going on. And on top of that, you've got the boat is operating 24 hours a day. So there's, you know, only so much you can capture and only so much of what I capture that actually makes it into the film.
How much did it cost to shoot this movie?
Cost about $30,000 in total.
Okay. How did you pay for this? You're a student.
Yeah, so I got a lot of really good support from a few different places. One of the most is Tabor Academy was very generous with their support of the film. In addition to a number of yacht clubs, including the Beverly Yacht Club, Blue Water Sailing Club, and the Royal Hamilton Amateur Dinghy Club in Bermuda, as well as a number of other supporters that were just very generous in helping make this possible.
Wonderful. So when did you first get the idea about making a movie about Celestial?
I think the idea probably started when I took the class at Tabor Academy my junior year of high school. I was so fascinated by the idea, and in that class, you know, I really had never had a chance to put it to true practice in the open ocean. And so I had wanted for a long time to make a film about this, but when I learned that Tabor was participating in the Marion to Bermuda race, and when I learned that this trip was happening, it sort of just all clicked, and I knew that this opportunity to make a film about Celestial was right then, and so I took full advantage of that.
Had you done any Celestial by the time you took the class?
No, it was a complete new thing to me. It was just a really cool class that I knew people who had taken and really liked, and I knew Captain Gao who teaches the course, and so I just thought it was a really cool opportunity, but didn't really know anything going in.
So how big was the crew of the filmmakers to work on it with you?
It was just me working on the film.
Just you?
Yeah,
okay,
on the boat, it was just me.
Yeah, in the credits, it shows a music mixer, sound mixer, all those things. So where'd you get those guys, those people?
Yeah, so those guys are Berkeley sound artists right here in Berkeley, California. It's a great group of people, worked on some really incredible films, and they've worked on this film and my film before this with me. So yeah, really great team there. And it's the only really outside, all the editing and shooting and all of that, with a small exception, was all for me up until the sound editing part.
So you're currently a senior at UC Berkeley, and you graduated from Tabor Academy and then went back as a 19-year-old to your alma mater and talked to the school and said, I want to make this movie called Celestial, about the celestial navigation process. And really the meta story is learning about a life on board a boat and becoming independent without any electronics at all. Basically crossing from Marion, the 630 something miles, to Bermuda, totally by looking at the stars and keeping track of where the heck you were, by the really old method that people used, you know, literally hundreds of years ago, before there was GPS, even as recently as 50 years ago. So that was how did you decide? Give me the reasons why that fascinated you.
I mean, I have to say it goes back to the course that I took, and it's a full year course, and it's a really small class. I'd say there were 6 or 7 of us in the class. So it's a really kind of intimate setting that you really get to learn a lot about the subject. And so that really fascinated me. But as I said, I never had a chance to really put it into practice. And I just think it's fascinating because it's one of those things that really in today's world doesn't have a ton of practical use, but it doesn't mean that it's not relevant and not important to do. I think that might even because it's not technically the most practical way to do things, it makes it even more relevant and more important for people to learn. So I think the story of seeing young people learning these skills that really just put away with the necessity of technology, which is so prevalent today, and sort of going back to, I hesitate to call it the basics because it's quite a complicated process, but to the foundations of how we understand the world around us and how we navigate, I think is a really cool and important story to tell.
Well, and it's also poetic because sailboats are obsolete forms of transportation.
Right.
And so here you are, using an obsolete form of transportation to get from Marion to Bermuda, and you're racing. So actually, the better you navigate, the shorter your course. Were you paying attention to weather? Was there a weather window that you were looking at? Did you want to basically steer a rumline course?
Pretty much a rumline course, and we were really lucky with the weather. It was really fair weather the whole time. Definitely there were calculations to be made, and that wasn't me, obviously. I was the one filming, but there were strategic decisions, as anyone does when they race offshore, about when and how to enter the Gulf Stream, how that's going to affect us, and what the weather is going to do to us along the way. But we were really lucky with the weather, and in preparation for the filming, I was really prepared for any type of weather, and I was lucky that it was really beautiful the whole way.
So the aerial photography at the beginning of the race and otherwise in the film, how did you shoot that? What kind of equipment and so on?
Yeah, so the shot that you see, the drone footage at the beginning, is the only shot that I actually did not take in this whole film. That was by Gary Lawrence, who works with Tabor Academy, and he was taking it through that role, but I ended up being able to use that for the film. But one of the most interesting stories of filming this was using the drone offshore. The drone is a small, if people are familiar with drones, it's a small Mavic 2 Pro, and it's pretty small, but it's really hard to launch and recover a drone from the open ocean on a schooner like Tabor Boy. There's a lot of things that prevent that. All the lines and all the different types of rigging that are all over makes it hard to fly a vessel. The draft and the air currents off the sails messes up with its flight. The iron hull messes up with its compass, and so all these things make it really difficult. And that really came to a head when we tried to recover the drone after taking some of the incredible drone shots that you see from the open ocean about halfway through the film. And it took sort of a full group effort. It was probably the most nerve-wracking part of the trip for everyone, was getting this drone back, and we had someone basically hanging off ribcraft in the back, and just literally stuck their hand out with someone holding on to them right off the stern of the vessel, and was able to pull it in. But it was a very nerve-wracking experience, both whether we'd be able to recover it and just the whole process of doing so. So it is one, like anyone who's on that trip will tell you of that story and sort of how memorable it was, but it turned into these incredible shots that you see in the film.
So tell me a funny moment from the trip in making the film.
That's usually my number one that I point to. I do think there's a lot of interesting points. One thing I'll say is a little bit self-deprecating, but I am not a consistent sailor. I love to sail when I can, but I did not have my sea legs for the first few days of the trip. And there were a number of us who were seasick, and I was among them. And so in terms of filming and what was able to be filmed the first day or two, I was pretty seasick, and that really hampered my ability to get the shots I wanted. After we got across the line, it was pretty choppy, and it sort of settled in for a while, and that was not pleasant. But once I got over that, it was pretty great. But that, all the crew, if they were here, would poke fun at me and the others of us who got seasick for the first bit of the voyage.
So talk to us about Tabor Boy. Give us the physical dimensions and so on of the boat.
Yeah, it's a 92-foot schooner. It was a Dutch pilot boat. It's just over 100 years old, so it's a pretty incredible vessel. I don't remember the exact year that it was donated to Tabor, but it's been at Tabor a long time. And the Tabor Boy program is basically an after-school sport for the school. So members of the student body will be part of the crew, and the leadership of the crew is almost entirely student run. The executive officer, all the other officers, all other positions of leadership are students, with the exception of the captain, Captain Guile, who is also the teacher of the course of celestial navigation at Tabor. And so it's a really incredible opportunity for students who have had experience with sailing or not to be introduced to it and really have incredible sail training experience. I personally was never part of this. I had the opportunity to be offshore a couple of times on the vessel. And so I was fortunate to have that, but it really is an incredible asset for the school and just a really, really beautiful and historic boat.
So what kind of equipment were you using? What kind of camera and other equipment?
Yeah, so it was just me filming on the vessel. So it really kept a small setup and something that I could move around without disrupting anyone who was operating the vessel on while we were underway. So I just had a Sony A7 III camera. It's a small handheld mirrorless camera on either a handheld tripod or a handheld gimbal, which kept it stable. And so it was a really, really small, bare bones setup, but that allowed me to film in a really tight quarters environment.
And sound in camera?
Yeah, it was a small Rhode microphone on the top of the camera. So
Okay.
nothing too fancy, but you can't get too fancy when you're offshore like that. So a lot of challenges when you're filming in that type of environment, but that goes for a lot of documentary films.
And what editing software?
I'm on Adobe Premiere Pro. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And you cut it yourself?
Yes, I did.
You did the editing, okay.
Yep.
And then you recruited sound folks from Berkeley?
Yeah, I'd worked with them on one of my other previous films, which is called The Ocean Knows No Borders. And they did a great job and did a phenomenal job with Celestial as well. Really, things that you might not notice in the film on a first watch, but the way that they're able to just bring out different things in the sound and add different things to what you're hearing is pretty incredible and makes it a very immersive experience, especially when you see it on a big screen.
So now, what was the boy-girl size of the crew? What were the boy-girl ratio? How many kids were on Tabor Boy and how many boys and girls?
It's a crew of 23 in total. I don't remember the exact ratio, but it is pretty 50-50 if I have to remember. It's a pretty incredible program in that the actual current executive officer, who is shown in the film, not extensively, but she's shown at the helm at one point specifically. She's now the executive officer. And so, yeah, and you see with the three officers, two of them were male and one was female, Chip and Connor and Sophia. But yeah, if I remember correctly, it was split 50-50, pretty close.
So now when I've raced in the Transpac, there used to be a rule, I think it might still be there, that you have to have at least two people who can do celestial on the boat. I was always one of those two in each race. And it's a fascinating, fun thing, celestial navigation. So while you're making the movie, you weren't part of the navigation team. You were making a movie about the navigation team. So talk to me a little bit about the sort of mental game that kids are going through as they begin to master this really kind of long time, I don't want to call it ancient, but this cool craft of knowing where the heck you are without electronics out there in the ocean.
Yeah, pointing on your thing about two people on the vessel having to have celestial navigation experience, we calculated it was, I think, about 12 of us who had it. So pretty incredible for any vessel to have that much experience. And I think that's a testament to what the celestial navigation course and just the curriculum in general at Tabor does. But it was a learning experience, as you see in the film, for everyone on board. It was, all the students had not done celestial navigation practically before. So you really did see, I think they were confident in their abilities and really did practice a lot and knew what they were getting into. But you definitely see the joy when they see that all these sort of theoretical ideas that they've been learning and practicing really come to fruition when they get right to Bermuda. I think it's a pretty incredible thing.
So now there are some shots up the rig. Did you go up the rig to shoot with your camera rig yourself?
I didn't actually. I did go up to shoot there. I did not actually end up bringing the rig up there. So most of those are GoPro videos. The ones that you see when we first see Bermuda, that's from Connor Cook, one of the main subjects of the film. And he was wearing that on his head, and we just sort of had it rolling the whole time until he saw Bermuda. So all that's very genuine. And as he brings the binoculars up and all that.
So how many GoPros were on the boat with you? That part of the equipment I didn't get before.
Yeah, we had a number of them. That was the only real time that we used them. I think there's one of the shot from the bow of the boat. There were a number, but that was very rarely used. It was really only on the last day that we pulled them out just to have some fun and see what kind of cool shots we could get.
Now, at the start of the race, so you're racing against Spirit of Bermuda in this classic little division, and they basically, they don't start. They miss the starting line. So talk about what happens. How did you guys, as it's happening in real time, what's going through your mind as you're starting the race, about to start the race, the usual countdown pre-start, and then you see that they're going to miss the line. What happens in your head?
Yeah, I mean, the line was very hectic in general. Even without that, there's a lot of jockeying, and it was really exciting. The winds were blowing over 20 knots. It was just really kind of a hectic area with trying to keep control and make sure we're across the line at the exact right moment. And you sort of see it in the film where there's a little bit, Greg Nurgen, who is the main navigator, adult navigator in all this, the tactician rather. And you sort of see him in the beginning of the film sort of saying, I don't think they crossed the line. They didn't cross the line. And you sort of see that confusion. And for me and for everyone else, that was sort of the way we experienced it. It was sort of the understanding that, wait, did they not cross the line? There's no way they didn't cross the line. And we sort of held that until we got to Bermuda, and it was confirmed that they did not, in fact, cross the line. So in there trying to get the edge at the starting line, they just didn't cross the line, and I guess they decided not to turn around. So it turned out that a weird little quirk in the story is that even though we did beat them by time, if it was fair and square, they didn't even start the race.
Yeah, that's part of sailboat racing. You can't win the race if you don't start the race.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're actually an athletic person in addition to being a filmmaker. You row for Cal?
Yeah, I'm a coxswain on Cal's rowing team.
On a 8?
Yeah, mainly 8s. We do some 4s as well.
And so talk to us about how often are you rowing these days?
These days we're not, unfortunately. Usually we'd be going 6 days a week, and because of the pandemic, our season has been postponed. Usually we are a spring sport, but we do practice from August until June. But right now we unfortunately cannot practice, so that's a huge disappointment. But in a typical fall, we'd be practicing 6 days a week, with 3 of those be twice a day.
So now it turns out that I grew about a foot in high school. I started as a coxswain and ended up as a rower. But so I remember part of being a coxswain too was keeping everybody truly motivated and keeping, Steve Rowe, all that adventure. So talk to me a little bit about what it's like to be coxswain on the crew, and then how that was for you to watch the skipper on the boat, on the racing boat in Tabor Boy. So talk to me first about what it's like to be a coxswain.
Yeah, it's I would say a very misunderstood position. I think people kind of understand that it exists, but don't really understand what you do. And probably many of you watching don't know much about it. And so your job is sort of a couple things. Number one is to steer the boat. You're in charge. You have strings that you pull and you steer. You're also somewhat of a coach in the boat, trying to help your rowers, usually 8 of them, do what they're supposed to do and row as efficiently as possible. You're also a motivator, as you said, Ron, and especially in races, trying to get them to just dig a little deeper and just, yeah, rows as fast as possible, simply speaking. And just keep everyone safe as well. So it's a lot of, there's a lot of pressure in the position. It's sometimes a little bit thankless, but it is a lot of fun. I've been doing it since my freshman year of high school, and now I'm a senior in college. So yeah, I've enjoyed it a lot. And so to go on the relationship to the crew, the crew being on the schooner, there are similarities. You have a big crew, especially at the start line, and you see this in the film. I think most at the start line is everyone has to be working 100% together, just as in a rowing boat or in the crew. Everyone has to be pulling the lines together, getting the sails up, and has to be 100% on their game at every moment, both for the safety and the security of the boat itself, but also to be as fast as possible to win the race.
The guy who teaches the course, Cap, talk to me a little bit about the teacher of the course and then what it was like to be at sea with him.
Yeah, so Captain Guile, he's with Tabor for over 35 years, and he actually just retired at the end of this school year. So he had a very long time with the program, and he's an incredible teacher and leader and mentor for so many people over the years, myself included. He, in the classroom, he's very thorough. He loves teaching students celestial navigation, and he knows that it's something that they really can't learn most other places, and especially at the level that they learn it with him. So I think he really loves teaching kids who really do want to learn about it. And on the vessel, just his ability to, without really saying much, really make a profound difference and impact on those who come through the program, and to have been doing it for over 3 decades is pretty incredible.
So a friend of mine, a young friend, really an exemplary young man named Jamie Scow, went to Tabor. He was a good sailor. His father and I competed in many world championships, including in Bermuda, in international one designs. And he died, got cancer and died. It was very, very sad. And he was an exemplary young man. So I want to say that watching your film reminded me of Jamie, because you're a young guy with a busy life. It's wonderful to see the industry with which you have put together this movie. And I'm reminded of our now passed along young friend, Jamie, and his father's and mother's great love for him. His father, Eric Scow, and Audrey Scow, his mom and dad, missed Jamie, of course, like crazy. And now Eric has passed on as well. So when you're at sea, I think one of the differences between sailboat races and rowing is that sailing is a blood sport. Things can happen at sea. I've actually been in a sailboat race where a person literally died, a 5-time world champion, sitting right next to me. He didn't make it, ultimately drowned after the boat had a huge accident, and everybody went in the water. And when you're out there at sea, give me a little bit of a feeling of, holy cow, you can't see land anymore. Give me some sense about the exhilaration of knowing that even though you can't see land, you have to figure it out yourself using the stars. Talk about that.
Yeah, so I had been lucky to be offshore before, and it's an incredible opportunity to really just be out in the middle of nowhere. And of course, a lot of things can happen, and luckily there were no issues or no dangerous situations that we were in. But the open ocean is a dangerous place, but it's a beautiful place. I think one thing that we don't really touch on in the film, but I think sort of hangs on around it, is just the incredible feeling of a beautiful undisturbed night sky. I think is so incredible. And the fact that you can go days without seeing another boat anywhere, or anyone other than your crew, is really amazing. And it sort of, we talk about in the film, like self-sufficiency and just independence. And I do think the open ocean is one of the best places to do that, but it's not always a forgiving place to do that.
What was the watch system that you used on Tabor Boy in the Marion to Bermuda race? And did you stand a watch, or were you independent of the watch system?
Yeah, I was independent, and that allowed me to shoot video with all the different people involved in the vessel, and to really be on whenever, to be able to capture every single moment. Now, that doesn't mean that I was capturing it 24/7, but it allowed me to, you know, be up at 4 a.m. when they're doing the morning sites, and also be there at noon when they're doing sites, or in the evening, and just have chances to do that, all of that throughout the throughout shooting.
So the tacit subject of the movie is celestial navigation. What's the meta message of the movie?
I think there's two. One that I just touched on, which is sort of the independence, and the independence from technology, and the independence of, you know, really learning something and trusting yourself to get yourself where you need to go. And I think the other thing is just sort of the youth component, the fact that young people are learning this stuff, and young people are so interested in learning not just about the newest technologies, but also about the past, and what that can provide for us. So I obviously am sort of that generation as well, but I think that is something that resonates with a lot of people.
Can you imagine Christopher Columbus crossing the Atlantic and landing, you know, down there in the Caribbean and seeing land for the first time?
I know, on the idea of seeing land for the first time, I mean, that was one of the most incredible parts of the voyage, is just seeing land. And we would go up aloft and use the binoculars, and just seeing the little tip of a lighthouse, or, you know, just, or a cargo ship docked offshore. I think it's an incredible feeling to finally see land and know that you've gotten where you need to go. And that's just made so much more true when you're doing it celestially.
Well, Jack Gordon, senior student at UC Berkeley, it was great to see your third film that you've made now, Celestial. Thank you very much for sharing it with us. And as I said, we're going to dedicate this Wednesday Yachting Luncheon to the memory of Jamie Scow, who graduated from Tabor Academy, was a great young sailor, and along with his dad, Eric Scow, they've both passed along now. You know, we're exemplary folks, and were the first to introduce Tabor to me many years ago. So thanks very much, Jack. We appreciate your film. And with that, the Wednesday Yachting Luncheon is adjourned.
Thank you very much.